Good morning. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. As the whole nation takes a holiday break, let us add knowledge and information to your morning. We'll have Abogado talk with two lawyers, taking our witness stand and swearing by their legislative aspirations. Here at the forefront. At 67 years old, he's an active trial lawyer, a constitutional reform advocate, a senatorial aspirant under PDP Laban. Known for his work on federalism and a legal educator, he brings decades of academe, service, and political experience. What drives Attorney Raul Lambino to bid for the Senate at this crucial time for the country? With us this morning is PDP Laban senatorial aspirant Attorney Raul Lambino. Good morning, Attorney Raul.
Good morning, Attorney Karen, at magandang umaga po sa ating mga kababayan. Mayong buntag kaninong tanan. Naimbag nga daw katatay amin na po.
I love it. Ilocano. But let's start, since we're both lawyers here, try naman natin parang courtroom setting. So I will state, I'll give a statement, and then you will say either sustained or overruled, depending on whether it's true or not for you. Okay, first, public service runs in the blood of the Lambino family. Sustained or overruled?
Overruled. Actually, wala akong pedigree as far as my family is concerned. As far as I am concerned, I cannot remember any of my relatives, close relatives na pumasok sa public service. Meron ako mga distant relatives na naging vice governor sa province of Pangasinan. Pero yung line namin directly, Lambino, is wala. Except my son now is the vice governor of Pangasinan. Pero siguro nakuha niya yung pedigree sa mother niya because my wife is a daughter of former governor of La Union.
Okay. So the public service or going into politics is more from your wife's side, not within the Lambino family.
Yes.
But are you a family of lawyers?
Yes, my uncle was brother of my father was a lawyer too. Okay. And then mga cousins ko, we are nasa legal profession kami.
Next statement, the law classroom is where future leaders are first put on trial. Timer starts now. Sustained or overruled?
Sustained. When I was still very active in teaching law, lagi kong sinasabi sa mga estudyante ko that you are inside the classroom where only a few good men and the best and the brightest can survive. So talagang we put them into trial, and kung hindi sila pumasa sa akin sa political law, lalong hindi sila papasa sa akin sa constitutional law. So ganun ang klase ng educators noon.
Yeah, but I do remember that as well. In my experience as a law student, talagang harsh yung mga law professors, no? But they said that that's also their way of training you for the courtroom.
Tama po yun.
Yeah, I hope that they're able to maintain that rigorous training. And after elections, should you either win or not make it, will you go back to teaching?
Well, before this campaign period, I have decided to take a break sa litigation and active law practice, so I'm more on agriculture. But after observing what is happening in the country, na-encourage akong babalik muli sa legal practice, and I have to revive my law firm as a corporate and litigation firm. So babalik ako sa law practice. Kung sakali man po na hindi tayo palarin dito, at kung palarin man tayo rito, the same. I will be more active sa law practice.
Sa agriculture right now, ano pong ginagawa nyo? Nagtatanim ba kayo?
Yes, nagtatanim tayo ng palay, ng mais, ng iba't ibang mga gulay, pero active na active ako sa ng mga baka at kalabaw. So I have a small ranch in Pangasinan na gusto kong ipahagi sa tao, yung mga malaking mga breed ng baka at kalabaw na pwedeng alagaan at pagkakitaan ng ating mga kababayan.
When you say ibahagi, magpapamigay po ba kayo ng baka?
Hindi naman pinamimigay na libre, pero yung price ng ating mga baka at kalabaw ay very reasonable compared kung bibilhin mo sa Australia or sa Amerika na milyon ang halaga ng isang baka. pag dito na kasi inland born na yan, island born dito sa Pilipinas, mas mura, malaking bagay. Makakabili ka na ngayon ng purebred na Brahman na around 50,000 pesos per head. Instead na bibili ka sa Amerika or sa Australia ng worth 10,000 or $15,000 per head. So, mahal yon. So, itong ginagawa natin is to help our farmers have a better chance na kumita naman sila sa pag-aalaga ng mga baka at kalabaw.
Okay, later let's talk about that because that's a very interesting sector that we can grow, yung cattle industry. Next statement. As a lifetime member of the Philippine Constitutional Association, you're an advocate for charter change since 2005. Sustained or overruled? And 30 seconds to explain.
Sustained. Both lifetime member ako ng Integrated Bar of the Philippines at saka yung PhilConsa. Pero for the past 10 years, hindi na ako masyadong active doon sa PhilConsa. I was the Vice President of PhilConsa for quite some time. Pero nung makita ko na ang government hindi seryoso sa pagbabago ng saligang batas, kahit na anong gawin naming mga advocates like your mother and I worked very hard for this and we continue to be advocating for this. Hindi mangyayari yan.
When you say the government is not serious, which government are you referring to?
Well, like for example, this government, tumakbo ang presidente under Partido Federal ng Pilipinas. Alam naman natin na ginamit lang siguro itong partidong ito as vehicle for his election. But after that, walang serious move to change the Constitution patungo sa isang federal system of government. So, yan ang mga nakikita natin na pag walang suporta talaga yung national government, walang mangyayari sa constitutional reform.
Well, former President Duterte was also an advocate for federalism and this was one of the things that he mentioned when he first took office. Bakit hindi nabago ang Constitution to
it was
pursue
overtaken.
federalism?
It was overtaken by events like, for example, yung COVID-19 pandemic. So resources of government for 2.5 years now focus for us to recover from pandemic or to survive from the COVID-19 pandemic. So practically, President Duterte's term of office, mga 3.5 years lang yung active. Yung 2.5 years talagang nakafocus sa rehabilitation, recovery, and of course, yung survival natin from the pandemic.
Well, Speaker Martin Romualdez is an officer of PhilConsa right now.
I think he's the president,
Yes,
if I'm not
exactly.
mistaken.
He's the president of PhilConsa right now. Do you think walang pag-asa for constitutional change under this administration through Speaker Martin?
Well, kahit na gusto pa po ng mga members ng Kamara or even PhilConsa officer, with all due respect, pag ayaw ng Malacanang, walang mangyayari, Atty. Karen.
Okay, so you think this administration is not for amending the Constitution or shifting to a federal form of government?
I believe ayaw nila. And in fact, even the current composition of the Senate, ayaw ng mga senators na magkaroon ng pagbabago yung ating saligang batas. So that is the reason why I am motivated to run for the Senate more vigorously in order to have really a true voice in the Senate who is truly an advocate for constitutional reform and political reforms.
What specific provision of the 1987 Constitution would you want to change?
Well, we have to overhaul the entire Constitution, so let's call for a constitutional convention. It's not enough for us to just overhaul the economic provisions. We have to overhaul more the political provisions of the 1987 Constitution. As far as the civil rights provision, the Bill of Rights and other provisions, okay na yun eh. Pero yung political provisions, yun ang problema. Kaya malala ang corruption, malala ang kahirapan because the politicians covered by this 1987 Constitution can get away with everything that they are doing that is repugnant to the interests of the Filipino people.
Are you for abolishing Congress, for example? There have been some that has advocated that as a political revision.
Yes, sinabi ko na yan that one of the very first act or bill or resolution that I'm going to do would be to call for a constitutional convention for the Senate and the House of Representatives to pass a joint resolution, call a constitutional convention, and then let's abolish the existing structure of Congress. And then let the CONCON decide whether they are going to have a bicameral or unicameral legislature. But in the current way of electing our senators, for example, we are elected nationwide, kinopya raw natin sa Amerika ito, pero sa Amerika, they only elect their senators by state. So ang proposal ko dyan, if we are going to retain a bicameral Congress, let's elect our senators by region so that they have a specific constituency that they can represent in the Senate.
But won't that increase the number
Yes.
of senators? But Congress, you want to reduce it or abolish it completely?
No, we have to reform the party list system. No, we are not going to abolish the House of Representatives pag yun ang gusto ng tao na bicameral pa rin. Pero yung number of senators from 24, maybe we can increase that into 48 or 60. Why? Because yung 24 number of senators, ito pa yung Jones Law of 1916 eh. Yung Philippine Autonomy Act of 1916 where we had a senatorial district, 2 per senatorial district. So, kinopya lang natin yan, pero hindi natin ginawang senatorial regions. Ginawa natin yung 24 senators being elected now nationwide. And I don't think that is fair to Filipinos. Like, for example, in Northern Luzon, when I say Northern Luzon from Bulacan to Batanes, iilan lang yung senador lang na nandiyan. Pagdating naman sa Bisaya, ganun din. Hindi ko alam kung meron bang Bisaya ngayon na senador. Parang wala yata, no?
Sila, Bato, Senator Bato de la
Mindanao
Rosa,
sila.
Senator Bongo. You mean Bisaya talaga?
Bisaya,
Okay.
oo, wala
But
eh.
aren't you concerned na pag gano'n, napakadaming senators? As it is, ang
No.
dami na nating congressman, it will really bloat
No,
the government.
Because in 1916, we were only 10, 12 million people, but we have 24 senators. We are now 110, 120 million people. 24 senators pa rin. So,
But what
hindi represented ang
about
tao.
the laws? Like, if their primary duty is legislation, parang ang dami na rin naman natin batas.
Yes.
Parang it's just taxpayers sustaining too many legislators.
Not really. Pero pag tinignan mo kasi yung function ng the Senate as an institution, ito yung talagang totoong political department or political office that can check the abuses of the more powerful political department, which is the executive. No? Kasi kung yung House kasi, sabi nila, yung House sunod-sunuran yan sa Malacanang eh. But if the Senate will really act as an institution of learned people whose wisdom and whose interest would be for the people, just like in the United States, then we can have the real checks and balance and separation of powers. Ang nangyayari ngayon kasi, yung 24 senators natin, mag-iisip na rin sila. Tatakbo na rin akong presidente, total elected na ako nationwide. So, hindi nila iniisip yung interest ng taong bayan that they are supposed to protect and defend when they are focused in their respective constituent region. So, yun ang aking idea on constitutional. But other than that, ito yung sinasabi ko, we don't even need to change the Constitution any longer to make the people more accountable like local government units. The local government units like mayors, the governors, they act like they are president. Ang sabi ko, why don't we adopt a parliamentary type of local governance like what we have now in the BARM, which I think is more effective, more accountable, and more responsible.
Okay, so this really calls for a long discussion when we're talking
Exactly.
about constitutional change and really overhauling
Yes.
our system of government. Next statement, running for senator is the logical progression for someone who's long worked behind the scenes. For you, is this overruled or sustained?
Sustained.
And timer starts now.
Sustained in a way, because I've been working in the House of Representatives and in the Senate as a legal and technical consultant of some of our senators and congressmen. I have, in one way or the other, participated in or helped in the crafting of worthy legislation like the Foreign Investment Act, Foreign Service Act, Business Conversion Development Authority, Solid Waste Management Act, etc., etc., etc. And I have seen that recently, though, with all due respect to our incumbent senators, hindi na ganun ang quality ng legislation na nakikita ko.
So your years of experience working behind the scenes is something that you think will contribute to your performance as a senator. Nung tumakbo po kayo 2010, ano yung nakikita niyong difference from that time and now, 15 years after you're running for Senate again? Ano yung difference na nakita niyo?
In 2010 kasi, we were trying to just form a senatorial slate to at least give hope to the presidency of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo na at the time she was really very unpopular. And we know, in my case, I know I'm not going to have a Chinaman's chance of winning that election. I was asked to run 2 hours before the deadline of the filing of the
Para lang
certificate of
mapuno
candidacy.
yung
Para lang
Senate
mapuno
slate.
yung Senate.
At alam mo yun, okay lang.
Magiging 6. Only 6. 6 lang kami na tumakbo noon under lakas.
Wow.
With Gilbert Teodoro as our standard bearer and Iad Dumansano, our vice presidential candidate. So, 6 lang kami. And kami, wala kaming chance except for the 2 very popular movie personalities who were incumbent at the time. So, sila lang yung nanalo.
And considering that at that time, former President Macapagal Arroyo was a president, pero hindi
Was a
niyo
president.
mapuno yung
Hindi namin
slate.
mapuno. Because nobody would like to run anymore under the slate of former President Arroyo. So,
And now 2025, you're in the Duterte.
yes.
Would you say that you see a better chance of winning now?
Well, just like in 2010, I was asked again to run for the Senate 2 weeks before the deadline of the filing. It was September 24 when I got this phone call from Executive Secretary Mijaldaya telling me that Mayor Digong wants me to be included in the PDP Laban slate. And I said, no, don't include. I'm already old. I am semi-retired as a lawyer. I'm not a media personality or entertainment person or movie actor. I don't have a chance of winning then. Yeah, Ace Mijaldea said, no, Mayor Digong said, you run and you are going to win. So I have to consult my family. Everybody didn't want me to run. And then I waited until February 11. So from October 6 when I filed my certificate of candidacy, hindi ako nangampanya, hindi ako nag-post ng whatever. Only on February 11 when I really started
So
telling
pareho
the
lang
president.
din na experience sa last minute yung pagsali ninyo.
Yes.
But this time you think that you have a better chance of winning.
Well, at the start, the first 4 weeks, or the first 2 weeks, talagang adamant ako. I am not really hell-bent of campaigning that hard. But when I've seen what's gonna happen, what the House of Representatives had done to Vice President Sara, and what this government is about to do to President Digong, ibang usapan na ito. Kaya I become more serious campaigning after February 24. That's when I started really campaigning hard, and you have seen me campaigning hard. I've never done this before in 2010, going around the country using my meager resources just to let people know that I am a candidate under PDP Laban.
And speaking of PDP Laban, next statement, PDP Laban is a party of Duterte supporters. Sustained or overruled? Timer starts now.
Sustained. I think ang PDP Laban ngayon, ang nag-iisang political party na sumusuporta dito ay mga tao, grassroots. The previous members of PDP Laban who were politicians, nagsialisan na. Ganun naman yung sistema ngayon dito sa ating political situation na kung hindi ka na nakaupong presidente, wala ka ng power, aalisan na yung mga political, yung mga politicians. Pero naiwan yung mga grassroots sa amin.
And yung grassroots na yun, you can see that they are supporters of former
Yes.
President Duterte.
Yes, yes. I have seen that in many, many occasions and in all areas, whether in Northern Luzon or in Southern Mindanao, na inikutan ko, nakita ko yung enthusiasm ng mga Duterte supporters and PDP Laban supporters.
And for the 2025 elections, do you see a growing support from the grassroots? Because dati, pag nakikita ko yung surveys last year, wala yung mga pangalan ng ibang candidates. And now, in the statistically probable Magic 12, pumapasok na rin yung pangalan ni Philip Salvador. And Rodante Marcoleta is also catching up.
Yes.
And you have Senator Bongo, who's now been able to reach the number 1 among the Magic 12. And Senator Bongo also went up. So how are you trying to catch up with all your other fellow candidates sa PDP Laban?
Na-observe namin yung ginagawa ng other groups of senatorial candidates. Tumigil na sila sa pangangampanya. They don't conduct motorcade themselves, either individually or a group. Wala na rin silang mga political rallies na tulad ng ginagawa nila a month after February 11. Talagang kita mo, bonggang-bongga yung mga rallies nila. Pero sa amin, sa PDP Laban, hindi namin kayang tanggapin lahat ng invitation ng mga rallies, ng mga motorcade. Unlike before na talagang hirap na hirap din kami magkaroon ng rallies kasi imagine how big would be the cost pag nagkaroon ka ng rally. At ngayon, pag nag-conduct kami ng rally, thousands of people, 5,000, 10,000 of people in an open field. Hindi pa pwedeng ikasya mo sa isang gymnasium o sa isang kasi ang daming gustong pumunta at hindi sila umaalis.
So kayo po ang PDP Laban ang nai-invite sa mga rallies instead of having to organize?
Yes, so yan. Talagang hindi namin kakayanin yung mga invitations ng mga itong mga nag-i-invite sa amin hindi itong mga local candidates or what. These are groups of people na gusto lang namin marinig yung kandidato ng PDP Laban.
Gaano po kalaki ang natutulong din ng pagkampanya para sa inyo ni Vice President Sara Duterte?
Nako, napakalaki, Atty. Karen. And we are so thankful nung umuwi siya or bago siya umuwi galing sa the Netherlands, nagpahayag na siya ng statement niya pagsuporta sa mga Duterte candidates. Plus, na dalawa siyang idinagdag. Ang laki ng impact niya. At saka yung pag-ikot-ikot niya ngayon sa different cities and provinces in the Visayas and here now in Luzon, in NCR in particular, ang laki nakikita namin. Kasi kaya katulad kahapon, umikot ako from Valenzuela to San Jose del Monte, passing to the different towns of Bulacan. Iba yung reaksyon ng tao dito sa NCR at saka itong adjoining provinces and cities of NCR. That is, I think, a Sara Duterte effect na ganun ang pagtanggap ng tao sa amin ngayon.
Congressman Paulo Duterte mentioned kung sino yung dalawa pang pinadagdag ni former President Duterte sa Duterte. We've had former Senator Gringo Honasan and Colonel Ariel Querubin.
Yes.
But there were also endorsements that were seen publicly of Vice President Sara being with Senator Amy Marcos in a commercial, in a campaign commercial.
Yes.
And also another commercial with also senatorial aspirant Camille Villar.
Yeah.
Hindi ba nalilito yung mga tao kung sino yung idadagdag sa Duterte?
Ang sa amin, basta we are campaigning only for the Duterte, tapos sinasabi namin, bahala na kayo kung sino pang dalawang idadagdag ninyo. But as far as I am concerned, PDP Laban, Team Duterte, I am campaigning only for 10 senatorial candidates. I cannot campaign for the other senatorial candidates kahit na in-endorse pa ni VP Sara yon o kaya ni Congressman Pulong Duterte, with all due respect. Personal choice nila yon kasi hindi naman po sila member kasi ng PDP Laban. Ang member ng PDP Laban from the Duterte side, of course, chairman namin si President Digong plus si Mayor Baste Duterte. So yun lang, nakafocus lang kami sa 10.
Okay, so last question before we take a commercial break. The NBI filed charges against you for the false claim of a TRO from the Supreme Court during the arrest of former President Duterte. What is the status of that case now?
Well, I haven't received yet the complaint affidavit of the NBI filed before the Department of Justice. I've already said that I'm going to answer that point by point. And tomorrow, I'm going to file my answer to the Honorable Supreme Court who ordered me to show cause why I should not be meted with any disciplinary action. So I intend to file that tomorrow because that is the deadline. Supposed to be the deadline is today, but since it's holiday, then
It's tomorrow.
it's tomorrow I'm going to file. So it's the same allegation, and I'm going to answer that NBI case.
Did that negatively affect your campaign?
Well, maybe yes, maybe no, but one thing for sure, what the NBI did, because it was full-blown released in the media, television, and radio, it may have increased my awareness one way or the other. So some people now know, may buhay pala itong Atty. Lambinong kandidatong pagkasenador na sinampan ng kaso ng NBI. So
Parang nagkatotoo na there's no such thing as bad publicity.
good publicity. But you see, I know that I haven't done any wrong. Maybe it was an honest mistake, and I apologize to the Supreme Court for whatever bad thing that may have felt by our honorable justices of what I did. But It was never an intentional act
You had
with
a
malice.
belief at that time na meron talagang
I
TRO.
mentioned that in the first interview
I know.
that we have
I remember
here.
you told me,
Yeah.
you said talagang
It's-
akala mo meron ng na-issue na TRO.
Because there was this information that was received, and I overheard it, and that I'm going to explain to the Honorable Supreme Court.
Thank you so much, Attorney Raul, and we'll be discussing with you more later.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Attorney Karen. Yeah.
And after a round of getting to know another Abogado senatorial candidate, we'll have another Abogado join us. All these when we return at the forefront. Welcome back at the forefront. He is a seasoned litigation lawyer and educator, an advocate for PWD rights and clean governance. In 2019, he was labeled by the COMELEC as a nuisance candidate for failing to present the financial capacity to conduct a nationwide campaign. He remains undeterred, waging an independent campaign bid for the Senate. What keeps Attorney Angelo De Alban going despite setbacks in politics? With us this morning is independent senatorial aspirant Attorney Angelo De Alban. Good morning, Attorney De Alban.
Good morning, Attorney Karen, sa lahat ng mga nanonood at nakikinig sa iyong programa.
Thank you for being here today. So, we'll start off by, since ikaw sanay ka na ikaw ang professor, this time, ikaw naman ang ipapa-exam namin. So, I'll be asking you questions and you'll have 30 seconds to answer. First, if you come from a family of lawyers and teachers, in 30 seconds, describe how it was growing up in a family of professionals. Timer starts now.
Magulo, but sabi nga namin lagi, after confusion, there is enlightenment. Kasi sanay kami na nagdedebate. Yung mga kapitbahay namin, they used to hear us na sumisigaw, but sa totoo lang nagdedebate kami. Because in our family, we were raised to raise our voice kapag may problema, may kailangan i-discuss. So, hindi kami yung nagtatago and then nagbabattle up. No, we discuss things democratically, freely, and then that's it.
That's good training. Yes. And do you do that with your kids right now?
Yes, I encourage them to tell me what's wrong. I encourage them to tell me what happened. Kasi yun yung, in a way, transparency na rin eh. Ano nangyari sa araw mo? Ganito. O bakit mababa yung nakuha mo? Eh kasi ganito. Okay, I understand. So in our family, lalo na yung father ko and my mother, they encourage us to talk, to really talk.
Wala sa pamilya nyo ang mga nagpolitika dati. Bakit mo naisipang pumasok sa politika?
Yung grandfather ko was mayor, but that was in the 1950s pa. Hindi ko na siya naabutan na nag-mayor, obviously. And medyo matanda na rin siya nung na-meet ko. He died in the 80s. No? Yeah. And then yung father ko, hindi rin. Mga uncles ko, wala naman nakaupo sa kanila.
So nag-mayor yung grandfather mo back in the 50s. Saang lugar?
Sa Tumawini, Isabela. Back at that time na ang sinasabi nilang honorable ay talagang honorable. Yun yung laging sinasabi ng lola ko sa akin eh. Nag-mayor ang lolo mo nung panahon, ang mga honorable ay honorable pa. Ngayon kasi dime a dozen na yung mga tinatawag nating politiko. So, tumatak sa isip ko yun eh.
So, and yet you still wanted to go into politics now. Ano yung reaction ng parents mo?
Nagulat sila, but in a way, parang ine-expect nila yun. Kasi yung advocacy namin, 2008 pa yun eh. So, can you imagine how many years, almost 18 years, nag-bottle up because of our advocacy sa mga children with disability and persons with disability. So, in a way, nakita na rin nila yun. But, ang pinakaunang tanong nila is, paano yung wife mo and yung magiging kids mo, how would they react to it? And so, they should understand that there should be a person who would stand in the Senate. Kasi 2025 na, wala pa tayong committee sa Senado on children with special needs and persons with disability. Ganun tayo ka-backward. Ang daming data about us. At yun yung registered. Wala pa yung may mga diagnosis, wala pa yung may mga assessment. Pero walang tugon ang Senado sa atin.
So you think this is an underserved sector. But why didn't you just choose to do party list?
Party list is not enough. Because you need to have a nationwide and at the same time, hindi lang kasi pang party list yung trabaho na ginagawa ng Senado. Of course, you know this, no? Sa present society natin ngayon, andyan yung impeachment, andyan yung ICC. So bilang member of Senado, kailangan mong meron kang alam sa international law kasi you will ratify treaty. So that's one. Second, you will be an impeachment judge in case there is an impeachment court. So there should be a person who knows rules of evidence at hindi yung magko-convict ka dahil puso mo, hinawakan mo, sasabihin mo, tingin ko ito ang tama. Mali. Because if a person is elected by millions of people, you have to be careful if you're going to remove him or her. And at the same time, as what we have seen in the case of Corona, he is a distinguished Chief Justice, tapos tinanggal lang ng mga taong wala namang alam sa rules of evidence and sa rules of court dahil lang hinawakan daw nilang puso nila, sa tingin nila, guilty siya. Napaka-unfair.
So you really want to add more lawyers to Senate?
We
That's
should
one of the
add more
reasons.
lawyers to the Senate kasi lawmaking. Kung lawmaking yan, dapat lawmaker, dapat lawyer, di ba? Sasakay ka ba sa eroplanong hindi pinapatakbo, pinapalipad ng piloto? O magpapa-opera ka ba sa isang tao na hindi doktor? So magtitiwala ka ba sa batas na ginawa ng hindi abogado? Parang may pagdududa doon eh. So we need to bring back the prestige, the honor in the Senate. We have to reclaim the Senate for those people who really know the law.
So let's go to your educational background. UST molded you to become who you are now. In 30 seconds, describe your educational background and experience in UST. Timer starts now.
UST is my second home, actually. UST is the second home to my family. Kasi Tomasians kami. My grandfather, my father, my brothers, my sisters, almost everyone in the family is a Tomasian. So yung Tomasian values nandun, lalo na yung competence, yung commitment, yung compassion, pasok na pasok talaga sa gusto ng pamilya namin. We are a family of devout Catholics, so nandyan papasok yung Catholic teachings, and we are not afraid to say that we stand by the church. So my upbringing in UST, talagang malaki yung effect niya sa akin.
Mukhang malaki nga, including yung base talagang, yung foundation mo na values. Yes. You were also a law intern for former Supreme Court Chief Justice, and now Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin. What was that experience like?
Ano siya? I was an intern in his office nung nasa Court of Appeals pa siya. Ano siya? Hindi siya yung micromanager. He would give you the leeway to do your thing, to do things that you're supposed to do. Pero very sharp. Hindi mo siya maloloko. It's like he would just let you do what you're supposed to do, pero alam niya na, ops, ito. So, talagang strict siya. He is really strict. Na alam din ng alam ng mga estudyante niya, talagang strict siya. Talagang if you fail, you will fail.
Have you stayed in touch with him over the years?
Yes, because he's my godfather in the wedding. Yes.
Okay. So ngayon you're still in touch with
Yes.
E.S. Bersamin. Why didn't you consider working in the executive department under E.S. Bersamin?
I do not want to use our connection to establish or to work in the government because alam ko hindi yan papasa sa kanya. Mataas ang mataas ang yung he values integrity, no? Hindi porket ka mag-anak ka, kaibigan ka, ipapasok ka niya, no. And alam ko yan. Kaya hindi ko na trinay.
But would you not consider working in the executive department over being a legislator? Like in the future, even not under E.S. Bersamin?
Sa totoo lang, I never saw myself working in the government. It's just that there's really need to first, kailangan ng batas for our advocacy. Lagi kong sinasabi sa mga magulang na hindi na to awareness ang kailangan sa children with special needs and persons with disability. Kailangan natin politikahin yung issue natin kasi hindi tayo pinapakinggan ng government eh. So that's why we need somebody who will stand in the Senate, who knows the law, and who knows how to make laws.
Next experience you had was in journalism. As a journalism graduate, you worked as a writer for magazines and even as a freelance ramp model. In 30 seconds, can you tell us your story, how you got into these two jobs?
When I was in journalism, I was studying in UST. May pumuntang mga talents sa UST. Sa totoo, nag-trip lang kaming magbabarkada. As in, literally, yung parang napanood mo sa movie na nag-trip lang kayo, tapos ikaw yung nakuha. So, kasi at
You mean you auditioned?
Yeah, we audition, marami kami. And kasama ko doon, yung mga models din sa ibang colleges. Kasi ang UST, maraming mga models dyan eh. Tatahitahimik lang sila sa gilid. Meron akong estudyante, for top models siya. So, maraming mga models, maraming mga talented creative persons sa UST. Isa ako doon sa mga, nasali sa kanila. Okay, nakuha ko, natsambahan.
But
and
your
then
height
nagtuloy-tuloy.
is fit for modeling. You're 6'4".
Yes,
So,
yes.
paano mong na-resist yung temptation na maging full-time model instead of pursuing law school?
From the start talaga na academics kasi kami. Sabi ko nga, sa family, we're family of lawyers and teachers. So from the start, talagang pinupukpok kami na academics ang importante, education is very important kasi yan lang talaga yung konkretong may papamana sa amin ng aming pamilya. So, okay, maganda ang modeling. The pay is good, the exposure is good, but at the end of the day, mas malaking impact kung ikaw ay nakapagtapos at may natapos. So you can also spread education. Kaya hindi malayo sa akin na naging lawyer kasi yung influence yan ng grandfather ko. And then yung grandmother ko naman is a public school teacher. So malaki ang influence niya sa amin. That's why our family, puro lawyers and puro teachers kami.
And as a model ba, kinailangan mo lagi mag-smile? Or yan ba yung dad ko, my dad's also a lawyer, sabi niya, bakit mga models mo ang malungkot? Pag nag-ramp daw, nakasimangot.
Hindi ko lang maintindihan kasi you have to project that you are may dating. Hindi naman kami sinasabihan. Siguro pagkadating doon, talagang may sasabihin lang ka, you look at the people, you have to make an impression. So, but maybe, I don't know pag nasa ramp ka na.
So are you the smiling or what do they call, pouting type of model?
I'm the pouting type of person, actually. Even
as a person, talagang hindi ka masyadong masmile.
Yes, oo. Kasi hindi naman talaga ako people person. Sa totoo lang, let's be honest. I'm not a people person. It's just that I have my own world. Sabi ko nga, I'm a very boring person. I'm a vanilla. I'm really a vanilla.
Plain vanilla talaga.
Plain vanilla talaga. I don't like the shebangs, I don't like the lights, etc. It's just that kapag may nakita ko, I really need to fix it.
Yeah.
Yun
And hindi ka
nga
nahihirapan as a aspiring senatorial candidate. It's part of being a politician that you have to be a people person.
Kung kailangan mong gawin. Sabi ko nga, I'm a handyman at home. I do not like, the hammer and the nails, and the tools, etc. But if I have to do it, para lang walang stranger na papasok sa bahay ko, I'd rather do it.
And just to go back to your modeling experience, anong mga brands yung minomodel mo back then?
Mostly sa Sony Philippines ako connected. Because it was an audition for Sony Top Model. And
Sony.
then,
So would you remember anong clothes yung kailangan nyo i-model?
at that time,
Or-
we were tasked, I think we used bench and then, no, I think pen shop. It's pen shop.
Okay.
And then there's this gel that they had to use on us. But mainly, it's more of the Sony Philippines. We have to endorse the Sony Walkman. And
Mga gadgets din.
Mga gadgets.
Interesting. Okay, so now let's talk about the De Alban Law Office. You are managing De Alban Law Office. In 30 seconds, tell us how challenging it is to run your own law firm. And can you tell us about some of the high-profile cases that you've handled? Timer starts now.
Yung law office namin was established by my grandfather in 1934. No? Wow. So he was a lawyer and then minana siya ng father ko and then ng mga kapatid niya. Yung kapatid kasi ng father ko, 7 sila lahat. No? Actually, 8 sila lahat. 7 of them are lawyers. Yung isa, PhD. No? So, ako na yung first generation namin. So naturally, since medyo matatanda na sila, in fact, unfortunately, kahapon namatay yung isa sa kanila. So ako na yung nagmamanage nun. But they still handle advisory. Mahirap kasi hindi naman kami yung tipong full-blown like Makati or BGC type na the limousine. We cater to the underprivileged. We cater to the basureros, to the usual litigation and family law, family cases.
Did you ever think about changing the scope of your work, meaning to cater to more high-profile / wealthy clients to make the law firm grow?
I don't think so. Not until siguro the next generation. Kasi I'm the type of person na I will continue what is good. So we've been doing it since 1934. We've been helping people since 1934. And God is good to us. Nabibigyan naman kami ng income in other forms. No? Like I teach in UST, so that's partly may income ako doon. I have a small business, may income din ako doon. So maybe yung sense of contentment ko is grounded on the fact that we have basic values for commitment and service. So wala kaming balak mag-extend hanggang ako ang nagmamanage. I do not know sa next generation.
And let's go to the special needs advocacy that you've had since 2008. You co-founded St. Philomena School, which is a school for children with special needs. In 30 seconds, can you tell us the reason why you got into this advocacy? Tsaka why specifically children with special needs? Timer starts now.
When my brother and sister-in-law, si Teacher Al and Teacher Kim, established it in 2008 together with us, kami yung pinakauna sa Bulacan na private school offering it na recognized ng DepEd. So in 2008, we were so happy that we were the first. Di ba kapag ikaw ang first sa isang bagay, masaya ka, di ba? And then we realized we were the first in 2008. So the realization, it dawned on us, before this, what happened to them?
Yung mga special needs ba na pinag-uusapan nyo dito, it includes autism?
Yes, that's it. Autism.
Yung mga nasa spectrum?
Yes.
So pagka dati, 2008, wala masyadong schools talaga na
Walang
nagpo-provide ng
DepEd
services?
recognized na school providing special education. We were the first. So nag-umpisa kami sa less than 10 na students. Ngayon, we've grown to 90. No?
And yung rates nyo ba, you make it affordable
Very
for
affordable
families?
actually. Sa sobrang affordable nga, walang yumaman sa amin because of that. Kasi yung iba nga hindi pa nakakabayad. And we understand kasi ang hirap ng buhay ng pamilya na may special needs yung anak mo. Napakahirap kasi therapy na lang, napakamahal.
Yeah, that's true.
Assessment, napakamahal. Ako meron akong pamangkin. Meron siyang cerebral palsy and autism. So that's double. Ang therapy niya alone, napakamahal. 3-5, 1 session. Ilang beses siya sa 1 week na nagte-therapy. Ako yung sumasagot nun.
Yeah.
Yung special education aspect sa side ng school namin.
Yeah.
Paano pa kaya yung mga taong nasa laylayan?
Yeah, I agree. I actually have a niece also that has special needs because she's in the spectrum. My sister is saying to me that talagang magastos nga with all the therapies. And I had this conversation just last week with a friend who was telling me na yun dun siya nahihirapan sa gastos nga. Yung son nila also has autism and the expenses lang daw talaga is just too much. So would you advocate for this if you make it to Senate?
Yes.
To make it also subsidized by government or make it like a part of the DepEd
No,
schools?
I really want to create a Department of Disabilities. I really want to create a Department of Disabilities. Why? Our number has grown exponentially. Yung number sa NCDA, hindi yan accurate. Kasi I've been around the country, people have been consulting us, hindi sila diagnosed, wala silang assessment. So yung number ng NCDA na 5 million, hindi lang yan yun. Kasama pa dyan yung may epilepsy, kasama pa dyan yung may hindi pa kasama dyan yung cerebral palsy. Ang dami. Ang NCDA is just a policy-making body. Wala silang regulatory, wala silang regular budget. I want to create a department that has annual budget with regulatory powers. Why? Ang Philippines is not an accessibility-friendly country.
But why not just put this under the mandate of the Department of Health and then when it comes to education, include it in the programs of DepEd? Because the same problem that we have with bureaucracy and the cost to the government of having another department might be too cumbersome.
I understand that, but you have to realize that these parents, these people are taxpayers too. Ang laki na binabayaran nila. Napakamahal ng VAT pag bumili ka ng customized strollers, yung mga education. So bakit natin sila kinukuripot? If the government can actually add 300 billion overnight sa infrastructure, that means may pera ang government. Diba? Yan ang issue natin sa GAA ngayon. Yung 800 billion sa infrastructure, nung pinasa sa Malacanang, ano nangyari? Naging 1.1 trillion. So that means may 300 billion pala tayo na pwedeng idagdag. Sa infrastructure pa lang yan. In other words, ang sinasabi ko is that bakit natin kinukuripot sila? Now, as far as the bureaucracy is concerned, gusto ko nga pong tanggalin yun eh. Kasi ang NCDA po ngayon is just an attached government sa DSWD. anong nangyayari? Yung decision ng executive director, ipapasa mo pa sa board, sa NCDA board, na nandyan ang DOH, DTI, DOJ, DSWD, etc. So, pagdating, nawawala na. Ang gusto ko, meron tayong dedicated na cabinet-level department para sa may mga disabilities. Remember, ang disability is not just apparent, it also involves non-apparent. At magkakaiba po ang interest ng bulag, ng amputee, ng deaf and mute, ng may autism, etc.
So talagang lahat ng disabilities, you'll just cover it under one department?
Yes, under one
for their
department.
concerns.
Kasi dapat they have a dedicated service para meron silang access sa therapy, sa livelihood programs. Hindi nagmamakaawa itong mga to, ha? Hindi sila nagmamakaawa. They are willing to work for their children. Sa ibang bansa, sa Australia, pag ang magulang nag-aalaga sa kanyang child with special needs or disability, may allowance siya from the government.
Okay.
So bakit wala dito?
You ran for Senate in 2019, but COMELEC at the time declared you a nuisance candidate. Can you tell us in 30 seconds how that experience was and what it taught you about politics in the Philippines? Timer starts now.
To be honest, no, I was depressed na nakita ko yung frustration sa system na ang COMELEC lang pala can really gatekeep yung mga tumatakbo na may magagandang projects. Hindi naman sa tinataas ko yung bangko ko, di ba? Pero sinasabi nila na sana iba naman ang iboto ninyo. Pero nung may tumakbo na iba, hindi nyo patatakbohin. Isa akong lawyer and a teacher. Yun ang reason nila kung bakit nila ako dinisqualify. Simply because I was just a lawyer and a teacher. Supreme Court na nagsabi na hindi yan ground to disqualify a person. In fact, lawyer should be the one making the law, di ba? Bakit mo i-disqualify simply because hindi ako sumasayaw, hindi ako popular?
So nasa rules ba yun na COMELEC regulations that you have to show financial capacity to run a national campaign?
Nasa resolution nila yon, nasa rules and regulation nila yon. Sabi ng Supreme Court, it should not be a ground kasi financial incapacity is not a ground to disqualify a person.
So at least that has been resolved. Now, pwede ka nang tumakbo and it's no longer a bar for your ability to run. That's why you were able to run 2025.
Yes. Unfortunately, medyo na-delay lang na konti yung resolution, decision ng Supreme Court, but kahit papano nakatulong ng malaki kasi I can now tell people, I actually encourage people, uy, tumakbo ka. Hindi, wala kaming pera. Tingnan mo, may decision ako. You know, you're a lawyer. Tumakbo ka ganito. You can serve the people.
So at least you paved the way for other independent candidates.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you so much, Atty. De Alban, and we'll have more of you joined by Atty. Lambino when we return. At the Forefront, we'll return after a short break. We're back with Attorney Raul Lambino and Attorney Angelo De Alban. Attorneys, I'll take advantage of the fact that we have two lawyers right now. I'll name some current issues and in 30 seconds, kasi kulang na tayo sa time, can you discuss your take on this matter? So number one, addressing the problem of fake news. Quadcom hearings were conducted on this issue. Should social media accounts be regulated? Let's start with Attorney Lambino and then Attorney De Alban.
Well, even the
Timer starts now. Yeah.
Well, even the Bill of Rights said that freedom of expression is not absolute, no? I keep telling that pursuant to decisions of the Supreme Court in many cases, the practitioner of in the media should be responsible. No? They have to come out with news that are really for the interest of the nation, and they can be held accountable even prior to the cyber libel crime law. We have already provisions of the revised penal code to this effect.
Yeah, so meron na tayong laws.
There are
that
existing
can
laws
address
already.
fake
Now,
news.
if we need to increase the penalties, so be it. Yeah.
Attorney De Alban, what about regulating social media accounts? Do you think there's any constitutional impeachment on that?
As a
Timer starts now.
journalism student, I really want to protect freedom of expression and of the press. However, some people, they tend to abuse it. So para sa akin, if we require the media to register their business or their program, we should also require social media account holders to register para verified na, halimbawa, pag nagsinabing Juan de la Cruz, siya talaga ito. Now, as to what you are going to say, then we go to court kung may violation ka.
Pero otherwise, dapat pwede silang mag-post ng
Oh yes,
anong
they
gusto
can
nila.
post whatever they want. But they should register their account para alam na talaga sila yun. Ang problem kasi ngayon is, isang tao, 10 account, iba-iba ang pangalan.
So yun na yung ibang problem naman of trolling.
Yes.
No?
So, okay, you can say whatever you want. So long as people would know na sa'yo galing yan. So you can be held accountable pag nanira ka ng ibang tao.
Okay, but no need for additional laws that
Para sa akin,
specifically...
cybercrime law
Yeah.
would be enough.
More than enough, because this cannot be franchised. Otherwise, that would be censorship. It will be
Yeah.
prior restraint. Yeah.
Well, the next issue that's very fresh is the recent Presidential Communications Office draft guidelines on media accreditation. What can you say would be any legal infirmities for requiring media outlets to have been in existence for at least 5 years, and the standard for to be accredited that you have to be a seasoned journalist? Attorney Lambino, timer starts now.
Well, this was just like martial law before. There was an order then of the first Ferdinand Marcos president. At the time, nagkaroon na ng ganyan na presidential decree or proclamation requiring registration of media outlets, television, radio, or newspaper to register. And it was declared to be, that is prior restraint, it is censorship. When at the time, the Supreme Court was really very vocal and active about that. So hindi pa pwede yun.
What about you,
Unconstitutional.
Attorney De Alban?
Ang
Timer starts now.
Ang katotohanan kasi wala sa season yan eh. A person could be a journalist for a day and he could extract truth from you. And a seasoned veteran for 20 or 50 years can actually conceal the truth from you. Ang sinasabi ko lang dito is wala sa panahon, dapat hindi nire-regulate yan. Ang katotohanan, ang media dapat open sa lahat yan. Lalo na ang public service. Alam naman natin, isa public trust, public office, isa public trust. Dapat open yan sa lahat ng gustong mag-access dito. 1 day ka lang na journalist or 2 days or 50 years ka na journalist.
Okay. And very last question. Senator Amy Marcos recently recommended the filing of cases in relation to the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte. In 30 seconds, because we're running out of time, Attorney Raul Lambino, do you think there are legal liabilities for the manner in which the arrest was conducted?
Certainly, and I'm thankful of President Amy Marcos's position in regard to what transpired in her committee in the Senate after 2 or 3 hearings that she had conducted. I can understand that she did not mention her brother to be liable for the actions taken by these officers under his department, because the president, while he's still sitting president, is immune from suit. No, but thank you that there was this pronouncement from Senator Amy Marcos.
Attorney De Alban, timer starts now.
Ang hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit kailangan ng Senate hearing pa para ma-determine kung may liability yung mga nang-abuso. Everything was done sa media, sa coverage, no? May mga witnesses doon. As trial lawyers, alam natin, whether may Senate hearing or wala, kung may ginawang kalokohan at may witnesses, dapat kasuhan. Sa nakikita natin, may mga nakikita tayong paglabag eh, at hindi kailangan na ng Senate hearing dyan. Kaya sabi ko, bakit kailangan pa may Senate hearing? Pinapatagal lang yan. Kung dapat may kasuhan at dapat may managot, kasuhan na dapat.
Okay, thank you. And in one word, what type of senator do you aspire to be? Attorney Raul Lambino.
Pro-people.
Pro-people. What about you, Attorney De Alban?
Honorable in its pure form.
Like what your mom said, no?
Yes,
To bring
not
honor
like
back to honorable positions.
Yes.
Thank you so much. At ang daming pwedeng pag-usapan pag dalawang abogado yung nakaupo. Thank you so much for your time. And less than 2 weeks to go before the election. So good luck with the elections.
Thank you, Attorney Karen.
Thank you, Atty. Karen, and thank you, Bilyonaryo at Channel.
Attorney Raul Lambino and Attorney Angelo De Alban are 2 lawyers with one mission: to serve with integrity. They are challenging the norm in their Senate bids and are both steadfast in the fight for a better future for Filipinos. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news. Always stay at the forefront. Join us again tomorrow for insights on people who have the heart to serve others. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. Thank you for spending your hour with us.